The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Scottsdale, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35400. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. On the face of the bumper, you'll find your electronic siren, PA speaker, and mechanical siren. Moving up onto the bumper extension area, you'll find 2 D handles. These will gain you access into the 2 front discharges located within the bumper extension. As we move to the cab, you'll find on the outer edge a turn indicator marker light, headlight structure just inside of that location, low and high beam headlights, emergency warning lights directly above the headlight structure. As we move to the Pierce logo, directly behind is where you'll find the release mechanism for your hood. Moving to the windshield, you'll find a seamless one-piece windshield with 3 windshield wipers. Moving forward to this location on the A-pillar is where you'll find your mirror, housing a flat and convex mirror. On the upper portion of the arm, you'll also find a downward-facing convex mirror. Let's move to the brow of the apparatus, where you'll find your clearance lights embedded in the forward-facing brow light. Up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the center is your opticom. And on the outer edges, driver and passenger side, you'll find additional spotlights. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about pertaining to the front bumper extension. 2 D handles gain you access into this space. You'll find a forward and rear front discharge. Dry deck material swivel discharges at the floor base. Let's go ahead and take a look at the entire side of the vehicle from the driver's side. Let's focus in now on the cab of the vehicle, starting at the base with Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheels, and also a axle sight gauge. As we move to the forward A-pillar area, you'll find emergency warning lights. Moving now up onto the door handles. These are easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also keyed. Right next to those, you'll find grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. Directly over the front axle is where you'll find your auto eject shoreline inlet, and also you'll find a digital readout regarding that shoreline power. To the rear cab wall, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and as we move directly over the mid window, you'll find a side-facing cab scene light. Moving to the rear wall, you'll find your LED water tank level indicator. Let's take a look at some close-ups. This is the 20 amp auto eject shoreline inlet and also battery charging auto system. Engine 602 on the side of the vehicle. All compartments are now currently in the open phase. Let's go ahead and take a look inside some of the compartments. Let's start first with the compartment directly to the rear of the cab. This is going to be your cross leg compartment. At the very top section, you'll have a dead load. The release mechanism just to the left allows you to remove the speed load. As we move downward, you'll find 2 1.5-inch discharges. We do have some warning information placard regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move now just beneath this area to the notch area, let's start in the upper left-hand corner of the pump panel on the driver's side with an air inlet. As we move to the right, you'll find the air supply valve, and just beneath that, the air outlet. Moving further to the right, you'll find a warning label placard indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Just to the right of that location, you'll find your auxiliary foam inlet. And then moving further to the right, you'll find a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move down to the left, you'll find the number 1 left side discharge. This is a 2.5-inch ball valve. As we move further to the right, you'll find your large diameter pump inlet and then also the driver's main inlet override location. As we move further to the right, you'll find a warning regarding fall hazard when climbing onto the vehicle. Always make sure you face the vehicle. As we move down to the lower left, you'll find the number 2 left side discharge, 2.5-inch ball valve, and across the bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the right, you'll find the number 1 left side auxiliary inlet. This is a ball valve female inlet. As we move to the vertical wall, you'll find a remote control. This is fixed to the vertical side sheet and is to control your master stream device. There is also an extender. Also, you'll find additional switching for driver side and passenger side flood and air horn. As we move to the pump panel at the very top section, if you've engaged your pump properly, you'll find the light illuminating OK to pump. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. We'll go over that in just a moment. And then just beneath that, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they received proper training. Just to the right, the green module is your foam level tank A indicator. As we move to the gray module, this is your master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged, and those are for testing purposes. As we move all the way to the very far right, you'll find the Pcm Fault. It does have an audible indicator and also visual indicator. As we move down, you'll find all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. These happen to all be foam capable. As we move further to the right, you'll have 3 electronic valves here controlling discharges. And as we move further to the right, you'll find the blue water tank level indicator. It is embedded in your pressure throttle governor. Let's move down to the next side of items within the pump panel area. First, starting with the fire pump primer, it is a push to prime air prime. There is also an informational note to best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. As we move to the left, you'll find the tank fill and recirculating line. Right next to that, your tank to pump. As we move further to the right, you'll find your reel discharge. You'll also find instructions here for your Husky Foam System 12. There are specifications and also instruction placards directly on the pump panel. As we move further to the right, you'll find your foam system. This is for your Husky Foam System module. You'll also find 3 additional electric valves for your discharges. Moving further down, you'll find an electric valve for your deck gun. And let's go ahead and move all the way down to the very bottom section of the pump panel, where you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move just to the upper right-hand corner, you'll find a pan door. Behind that pan door is going to be a protected switch and an indicator. This is your manual pump shift override. There are instructions for its operation for your foam system on the back of the door also. Back up to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. Associated GPM on the left-hand side of the placard, associated RPM on the far right-hand side. We also have a job number of 35400 on the placard. Let's go ahead and move from this location to the opposite vertical wall. This is going to be a removable remote control for your master stream device. Housed within this same compartment, you'll find 4 pull-out trays. There is dry deck material in each of those trays. Also, the release lock mechanism will be located on the right-hand side of the tray itself. Few images here of the tray in the open position. At the very bottom, you'll find an additional pull-out tray. The release mechanism is also located on the lower right-hand side, and they will lock into position when extended. Let's move directly over the rear axle to the next compartment. Roll-up compartment door gains you access. At the top, you'll find a footman strap. Moving further down, you'll find a pull-out and tilt outward tray. The release mechanism is going to be the cable. As we move in front of the axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 2 SCBAs. In the very center, emergency warning light, lower zone. And as we move to the rear, you'll find to the rear of the axle, pan door gains you access into the ultra low sulfur diesel silver cap, and then also access to the blue DEF tank. This is a close-up here of the SCBA bottle storage location with retaining straps. Exposed now is the silver cap. When you flap the portion downward, it'll expose the blue cap for your DEF fill. This is the tray in the outward and downward position. Let's move to the next compartment to the rear. You'll find adjustable shelves located in this area. Also a pull-out tray at the lower section, and then just to the right, a pull-out tool board. At the very bottom of the apparatus, to the rear of the axle and mud flap, is where you'll find your folding wheel chocks. We'll go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of these shelves in the outward position. Let's go ahead and move to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner. First, a quick image here of the ladder extended. You can see it's extended and protruding outward from the vehicle. Now it's in its full extended position, but let's start up at the upper left-hand corner with the step area. Just beneath that step area, you'll also find yellow diamonds. Those are indicating the walking space. As we move to the right, you'll find your hose bed storage location. You'll find 3 dividers allowing for 4 space. As we move just underneath the step area, you'll find long-handled tool storage. As we move to the opposite side, you'll find additional long-handled tool storage, also a 10-foot folding attic ladder. As we move down, you'll find the driver's side rear discharge and also passenger side rear discharge, both of those foam cable 2.5 inch. Just underneath that, a pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. We do have some additional warning regarding fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. If you are climbing onto it, always face the vehicle. In the right side, you'll find a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, also a traffic advisor in the center and backup camera. You'll also find rear scene light switches. And as we move to the left, you'll find a unit identifier number 21157. Let's move to the rear compartment, roll-up compartment door, and then also your tailboard space saver adjustable shelf inside. There's also a rear inlet to the rear of the apparatus. Let's go ahead and take a look at some lower pictures here with your space saver tailboard deployed. Then as we look to the roll-up door at the very top section, you'll find the number E602. Let's move now to the side of the vehicle. All compartment doors are in the open position. Let's go ahead and start at the very rear of the apparatus. First, starting at the rear compartment. At the very top section, you'll find 12-volt access. You'll also find an adjustable shelf and also adjustable tray at the bottom. Release mechanism is located on the far right-hand side. Let's take a look at the 12-volt DC power. This is barrel style at the very top section. As we move to the compartment in the lower section, the tray is in the outward position. Once again, lock on the right. Just underneath this, you'll find an air bleed for that rear inlet. Let's go back to the compartment directly over the axle. Additional SCBA bottle storage, 2 to the rear of the axle and also an oxygen bottle. We also have an emergency warning light directly over the axle. Just forward of the axle, you'll find 2 additional SCBA bottle storage. Each of these bottle storage locations do have retaining straps for safety. Let's go ahead and move from this location just in front of the rear axle, where you'll find an additional compartment. Roll-up door gains us access. At the very top, you'll find 2 12-volt accesses. These are barrel style. Just beneath that, you're going to find 3 adjustable shelves. And then at the very bottom section, you'll find a pull-out tray. Release mechanism for that pull-out tray is on the far right-hand side. Each of these will have dry deck material in the floor area. Here's a close-up of the 12-volt DC power barrel style. Let's go ahead and move now to the cross-lay section. We'll start at the very top section first. To the closest to the cab is where you'll find the dead lay. Right next to that, you'll find your backboard storage location. The dead lay, to gain access to the tray, simply release the mechanism and remove the tray. As we move to the bottom, two 1.5-inch discharges. Also a warning regarding entanglement hazard because those lines coming from a loft. Same configuration. Release mechanism allows you to remove each of those trays. As we move to the notch area, we'll start in the upper left-hand corner of the notch. This is on the passenger side, where you'll find your water strainer. Right next to that, you'll find the large diameter passenger side inlet. Let's move now to the next image, where you'll find in the upper right-hand corner, this is your reel rewind. And then just beneath that, because of those lines, there's the possibility of caps being under pressure. So be cautious when removing caps. They may be under pressure. As we move to the very bottom, you'll find the water strainer drain.
Right next to it, we do have a warning label regarding fall hazard. Once again, always face the vehicle while climbing on it. At the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move just to the right, we do have an electric valve here. It's for your large diameter passenger side discharge. Because it's electric, there is an override right to the left of it. As we move now, let's move to the driver's door, and we'll go inside the cab area. First, let's start with the door in the open position. All of our safety and warning placards located on the door panel. As we move to the very top section, you'll find electric window controls, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. And once again, all of our safety and warning placards on each of the door panels. Just under the placards here, you'll also find an additional quick reference placard for your components, coolant, engine, transmission, power steering, and also front and rear tire pressure. Your steps will automatically deploy when the door is opened. As we look inside overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights. Let's go back inside the cab area, and we'll start over the operator's head. As you look to the far left over the operator's head, near the A-pillar, you're going to find the height of your vehicle 10 feet 11 inches, the length of your vehicle 32 feet 1 inch, and a gross vehicle weight rating 49,800 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may affect any of these, please adjust this placard. As we move just to the right, you'll find rocker switches, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been engaged, as long as the emergency master is on, the light will illuminate within the switch panel. As we move just to the right, we have an additional switch panel. These are rocker switches. As we move to the upper left, you'll find high beam flash, your Opticom switch, which is located in the center of the light bar, electronic siren, perimeter lights, load manager, and a siren brake. Moving further to the right, an additional switch panel here where you'll find scene lights. This is going to be driver's side scene, front scene, passenger scene, rear scene, and also an indicator red cab not locked. That is for your cab when it is lowered in the downward position. Moving further to the right, you'll find your electronic siren PA speaker system. As we move to the forward windshield, you'll find in the most forward center location is the Haas safety system. This is your collision avoidance system. As we move just to the rear of that, you'll find the Pierce seatbelt information display, red indicating someone is in the seat but they're not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. You'll also find a red light in the center indicating do not move your apparatus, a compartment or door is open. As we move to the left side of the dash, you'll find hazard start and ignition switch. Moving to the right of that, you'll find a switch labeled EM. This is for emergency master, engage and disengage all emergency lights, headlight and panel light. To the right, you'll find the OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. As we move to the left, you'll find the transmission oil, DEF level, and water temp. Moving further to the right, you'll find front and rear air, volts, and fuel level. Directly in the center, you're going to find the tachometer and speedometer. And of course, diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's go ahead and move downward from the steering column just under to the floor area, where we'll start first on the far right hand side with the accelerator and brake treadle. Just up from that location, you'll find a panel. This is going to be all of your diagnostic information and also locations for your maintenance team for plug-in. Directly above that, you'll find your master battery switch. It's the red quarter turn. As we move to about the right ankle of the operator while seated, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, and also fluid capacity type. Let's take a look at the steering wheel. Your steering wheel does have additional controls on it and is also equipped with an airbag. Let's take a general preview of the right-hand side of the operator space first, starting with your backup monitor. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad, digital readout with an informational note to pump in neutral. As we move further to the right, I've got a close-up here in the next set of images, a set of rocker switches and indicators. As we move just underneath that area, you'll find a digital readout for your pump pressure. Right next to that, you'll find a water tank level indicator and then also a foam tank level indicator. On the very top section, you'll find passenger and driver side mirror control. You'll also find the control module for your go light, which is on top of this, the spotlight on top of your light bar. And then also you'll find your traffic advisor in the lower portion. As we move up to the very top section of the dash, this is going to be your climate control, heat, defrost, and air conditioning. Let's go back to that switch panel. First on the left, you'll find the engine brake. It's an on and off switch. Setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high. Mirror heat. The next is an indicator for stationary OK to pump and roll. And then also right next to it, the water pump switch and foam system switch. Close up here of the pump pressure. This is for pump and roll operations, and also a LED tank indicator for your water tank and also your foam A tank. As we move further to the right, this is once again the go light, your spotlight on top of the vehicle. And then moving downward, you'll find the traffic advisor. Air conditioning, heat, and defrost. General view here, looking to the rear of the apparatus, you have 2 forward-facing seats and then 2 rear-facing seats. Total capacity of 6 personnel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the very rear section. On the side of the apparatus in the rear is where you'll find 2 roll-up compartments. Overhead in the rear section, you'll find 2 upper compartments. In the center is where you'll find your air conditioner. General view looking forward from the rear section of the cab. Let's go ahead and take a look behind the driver's seat, where you'll find an outlet. When plugged into shore power, the outlet will be active, also 12-volt access, and also your auto charge is plugged into that outlet, allowing it to operate when you're on shoreline power. On the officer side, you'll find your main unit radio bundle storage location. Looking overhead, these are the compartments directly behind the driver's seat, with a compartment in the open position. As we move over to the passenger side, same configuration. Directly to the rear, you'll find on each side of the rear cowling, you'll find 12-volt access, and also in the center for your daily checks, your oil and transmission. Compartments in the open position on the rear wall. We're now to the officer side. We'll start first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, once again, safety and warning information placards. Once again, your steps will deploy automatically when the door is opened. Since we're in the officer space, you do have comfort controls on your air ride seat. I'd also like to point out on that seat, just to the forward section dash area, we'll start overhead. First, starting on the left with the red "Do not move your apparatus if illuminating you have a compartment or door open." Your mechanical siren is controlled from this side also. As we move just to the right, you'll find an AM/FM weather band radio. And then moving further to the right within the same area, a digital readout for your speedometer. Storage location. Push to talk, this would be on the left shoulder of the operator sitting in the officer seat. As we move to the dash area, left side also, you'll find a few items here. Control mechanism for your go light and siren control. I would like to point out the vehicle is equipped with an airbag SRS system. Do not mount anything within this vicinity. Let's move over to the A pillar, where you'll find a gooseneck light and door handle. As we move just down from this location, you'll have a glove box. Under that glove box is the location where the airbag is located. As we move to the left, you'll find your unit radio. In the gray module area in the center is where you'll find your 12-volt access. There are two barrel-style plugs. Right next to those two plugs, as we move forward, you'll find your parking brake. A little difficult to see in this image, but all the way to the very front section is where you'll find your vehicle data recording port. Let's go ahead and go to the roof area. You'll find first your unit identifier E602. I would like to point out that this is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards on both the passenger and driver's side. Let's go ahead and take a spin around to the rear where you'll find a covered hose bed. The yellow identifiers are to identify the edge of the walking surface. There are 3 dividers giving 4 locations for hose storage. As we move to the dunnage area, there are 2 distinct areas. First, the portion with the exhaust and then also water tank. Let's go ahead and start first in this area right here, first identifying your exhaust. You do have a top mount exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Be cautious. As we move forward to this location, you'll find your booster line, tension free spool knob, and then also a manual rewind located on the very top section. Moving just to the right, you'll find your master stream device. As we move forward to that location or toward the rear of the apparatus, you'll find your Husky 12 reservoir. This is the hydraulic reservoir with a sight gauge and also a shutoff valve. As we move once again back to the monitor here, electrically controlled from within inside the cab, it also has an extender to raise above the cab area. As we move forward to this location or more toward the rear in the image is where you're going to find the top fill locations for your water tank and then also foam tank. We do have a foam tank warning. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. There are hatch compartments located on the passenger and driver side, LED lights inside, and also dry deck material in each of those compartments. Congratulations, Scottsdale, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus. Job number 35400. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Following the ending of this video, you'll have additional photos and close-ups with the cab in the open position, in addition underneath.